Rukmini Dwarkadish. Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Jagannath, Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra, Jaya Goranitai, 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 Jaya Goranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Gaur Premanandi Hayaribo, Jai Om Vishnupad, Paramahansa, Paravrajik Acharya, Asatara Sata Sri Shriman, ISKCON BPT founder of Charles Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitya Lila Prabhupada Om Vishnupad, Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai. Nam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sikha Hosh Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasati Gaur Bhaktivedanta Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopanath Shamakunda Radhakunda Gira Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Brajamurma Namanam Ki Jai. Shri Navadip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Shri Lachal Jagannath Pur Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Shwati Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. Your most beautiful Lordship Shri Shukmini Dwarkadish Ki Jai. Shri Shukmini Dwarkanath Ki Jai. Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ki Jai. Shri Shri Gornitai Ki Jai. Samabeta Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Going back to home, back to Godhead Ki Jai. ISKCON Los Angeles Yatra Ki Jai. Brihan Madanga Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai. International Food for Life Transcendental Prasadam Distribution Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Guru. Glories to Srila Prabhupada. That's what we're trying to do, Marge. Just give us a moment. That's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to do. Just give us a moment. Yeah. We're trying to make it larger. Yeah. Yeah. We're trying to make it larger. Okay. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Deving Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Hadhirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our means of conquest, let us offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of God and Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, who is the author, unto Srila Prabhupada, who is the translator, commentator, and our spiritual master. Nashta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. By rendering service unto the pure devotee, by regularly attending the Srimad Bhagavatam class, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving devotional service unto the personality of God, who is worship of transcendental souls, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Yeah, just go do yours. Yeah, it's not working properly from this computer. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're continuing reading from the third canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is chapter 22, starting today, verse number 1. We'll give him a chance to put it up from his computer. Somewhere that it's not connecting properly to the Apple today, so. Could be a network issue. Okay, here we are. Okay. Rishurovacha Ityabalikang Pranutob Janabas Tam Ababhashe Vachasamritena Suparna Paksho Parirochamana Premasmito Dvikshana Vibramad Bruhu Rishirovacha Ityavalikang Paranatob Janabhas Tam Ababhashe Vachasamritena Suparna Paksho Parirochamana Premasmito Dvikshana Vibramad Bruhu Rishurovacha Ityavalikang Pranutob Janabhas Tam Ababhashe Vachasamritena Suparna Paksho Parirochamana Premasmito Dvikshana Vibramad Bruhu. Please sit. Rishirovacha Ityavalikang Parnatob Janabhas Tam Ababhashe Vachasamritena Suparna Paksho Parirochamana Premasmito Dvikshana Vibramad Bruhu Rishirovacha Ityavalikang Pranatob Janabhas Tam Ababhashe Vachasamritena Suparna Paksho Parirochamana Premasmito Dvikshana Vibramad Rishuruvacha Ityavalikang Pranatob Janabas Tam Ababa Shevasa Samritena Suparna Paksho Parirochamana Premasmito Dvikshana Vibramad Brahu Vaishnavis Rishiruvacha Ityavalikang Pranatob Janabhas Tam Ababa Shevasa Samritena Suparna Paksho Parirochamana Premasmito Dvikshana Vibramad Bruhu Rishiruvacha Ityavalikang Pranatob Janabas Tam Ababa Shevasa Samritena Suparna Paksho Parirochamana Premasmito Dvikshana Vibramad Bruhu. Okay, synonyms. Rishi Uvacha. The great sage Maitreya said, Iti, thus, Abhyalikam, sincerely, Pranutaha, having been praised, Abjanabaha, Lord Vishnu, Tam, to Kardamamuni, Ababashe, replied, Vachasa, with words, Amritena, as sweet as nectar, Suparna, of Garuda, Paksha, the shoulders, Upari, upon, Rochamanaha, shining, Prema, of affection, Smita, with a smile, Udbhikshana, looking, Vibramat, gracefully moving, Bruhu, eyebrows. Srila Prabhupada's translation for this verse. Maitreya resumed, sincerely extolled in these words, Lord Vishnu, shining very beautifully on the shoulders of Garuda, replied with words as sweet as nectar. His eyebrows moved gracefully as he looked at the sage with a smile full of affection. Please repeat. Maitreya resumed, sincerely extolled in these words, Lord Vishnu, shining very beautifully on the shoulders of Garuda, replied with words as sweet as nectar. His eyebrows moved gracefully as he looked at the sage with a smile full of affection. Srila Prabhupada's purport. The word Vachasamritena is significant. Whenever the Lord speaks, he speaks from the transcendental world. He does not speak from the material world. Since he is transcendental, his speech is also transcendental, as is his activity. Everything in relation to him is transcendental. The word Amrita refers to one who does not meet with death. The words and activities of the Lord are deathless. Therefore, they are not manufactured of this material world. The sound of this material world and that of the spiritual world are completely different. The sound of the spiritual world is nectarian and eternal, whereas the sound of the material world is hackneyed and subject to end. The sound of the holy name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, everlastingly increases the enthusiasm of the chanter. If one repeats monotonous material words, he will feel exhausted. But if he chants Hare Krishna 24 hours a day, he will never feel exhausted. Rather, he will feel encouraged to continue chanting more and more. When the Lord replied to the sage Kardama, the word Vachasamrtena is specifically mentioned. Since he spoke from the transcendental world, he replied in transcendental words. And when he spoke, his eyebrows moved with great affection. When a devotee praises the glories of the Lord is very satisfied, and he bestows his transcendental benediction upon the devotee without reservation, because he is always causelessly merciful toward his devotee. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavani Paschachideshtarine Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Jaina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtang Stapitang Jaina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeyahang Shri Guru Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagadatam Sahagana Ragana Tanbutam Tang Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Bhutangsha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here it is described, the Lord is shining beautifully, standing on the shoulders of Garuda. We know, being the Supreme Person, Krishna is the most beautiful. Every one of us, as we've said many times, considers ourselves to be attractive in some way or other. Generally, there are those 6 categories given by Parashara Muni of what makes somebody attractive. Aishvaryasya, Samagrasya, Viryasya, Yashasakriya. Jnana, Vairagya, Yoshaiva, Shanam, Bhaga, Itingana. So, Aishvarya, wealth, very, very appealing. But the wealth of this material world is transitory. Like right now, it's supposedly this Elon Musk, founder of Tesla and SpaceX, etc., supposed to be the most wealthy person on the planet, wealthiest guy, billions of dollars. But in one day, just recently, they said because of Tesla stock went down, he lost $56 million of worth value in one day. So the wealth of this material world is transitory. It's goes up and down. And sometimes it goes down to 0 or even below 0. You're in debt. So we're not so, or we should not be so enamored of the so-called wealth of this material world, especially nowadays. It's, as I've said many times, this is an interesting word in English, barmecidal. Barmecidal means it gives the illusion of wealth, but it's not real wealth. Barmecidal existence. You live in such a way that it looks like you're wealthy, the way you dress, the car you drive. But if you dig a little bit, you see this guy is, $20 million in debt. And even the things that we buy nowadays, they're not very attractive compared to the real wealth, material wealth of previous ages. We know that story, why Arjuna is called Dhananjaya. Because there was one great king who would regularly hold sacrifices, which is what the administrators are supposed to do. They're supposed to be the drivers of the Yuga Dharma. So in that age, Treta Yuga, sacrifice, elaborate Agnihotra was the way to come to perfection. So you would hold regular sacrifices and invite all the sages and brahmanas to come. And the Kshatriyas, the administrators, are supposed to reward the sages and the brahmanas with some material opulence for participating in these sacrifices. So he would give them golden objects, golden plates and spoons, but being great sages and saints, they were satisfied. So as soon as they left the arena of sacrifice, they would throw them away. And so over time, a big mountain of gold built up, and it became covered over. And we know this happens regularly. Almost every day you read some archaeological find. Oh, they just discovered some Mayan, tomb, and it has so much opulence in it. So things like that happen. Things get covered over in time. So when Yudhisthira wanted to do the Rajasuya sacrifice, he needed money. So he told his brothers, get me money. I need money to perform the sacrifice. So Arjuna was perplexed. He discussed with Krishna. Krishna was his regular friend. Just like we have friends we discuss with regularly. And so they were discussing, and Krishna told Arjuna, there's this mountain of gold in the Himalayas. You go there and you take. So by bringing back that gold, he became named Dhananjaya, conqueror of wealth. So, but even that level of material opulence, gold and jewels and like that, that's also transitory. This entire planet that we're digging all these things out of, it's going to disappear at some point in time. Even before the end of Lord Brahma's life, we know there's a partial devastation, and everything up to the highest planets gets covered over. So then that includes Earth, because we're in the middle. Bhumandala, we're in the middle. So everything up to the highest planets, Tapaloka, like that, gets covered over, drowned in water when Lord Brahma goes to sleep. And then he wakes up, and again, all of that has to be repaired, put back in order. So Aishwarya's wealth, it's attractive. In spite of the fact that it goes up and down, we all know it's still. If somebody has money, just like recently, they built that Ram Mandir, right? And I was reading online that the biggest donor was a diamond merchant from Gujarat. He donated 68 crores, lakhs of rupees to that project. So I had to look it up because I don't think in terms of crores and rupees necessarily, although I'm going to India shortly, so I should start thinking in terms of rupees. But so I looked it up. 68 crores of rupees comes to about $8.8 million. So he was the biggest donor to build that temple. Even the Ambanis and all these other Tatas, they didn't give us much. This guy was the biggest donor, so his name, I'm sure, is inscribed somewhere on the temple somewhere, like that. So that's appealing. If we were building a new temple here and somebody came and said, so us, here's $8 million towards the project, you'd be dancing for weeks. Yes, and not artificially. That's what money is meant for. Money is meant for building huge, attractive temples of the Lord, so the populace in general will be attracted to come there, just like we're doing our TOVP. That's why I'm going. I got a little bit fooled because when they started advertising about the opening of the Nrsinga wing, I thought Lord Nrsingadev was going to be installed there, so I was, eager to go and see. But they're just opening the Nrsinga wing. Lord Nrsingadev will still be in the current temple. But anyway, that whole project, sometimes people wonder, why are you Hare Krishnas? You build so many big temples and there's so many poor people in the street. No matter what you do, there will always be poor people in the street because it is karma. You cannot avoid it. Prabhupada said, when I was a boy in Calcutta, there were so many beggars on the footpath. And now 50 years later, there's still so many beggars on the footpath, in spite of so much social welfare and whatnot. Because some people, and doesn't take a big brain to figure it out. If you go down to Venice Beach right now, and there's so many homeless and whatnot, you give every one of them $1 million. You're so wealthy, you're Elon Musk or whatever. Come back in 1 year. What would happen? Would they all still have $1 million? Or no, some of them would immediately go to Vegas and waste the whole thing. Or go to their local liquor store and buy the store so they can have as much alcohol as they want. No, you come back in a year, the vast majority of them would be back on the street. Because pagla, madness. This is madness. They don't know what to do with money. But the Vaishnavas know what to do. Like in India, Prabhupada said, they're this class of so-called sadhus. You try to give them donation. No, I don't touch money. Prabhupada said, we're not so foolish. Give me. Give me. Because he knows what to do with it. New Dwarka Dham. He bought this 1970. He bought this building. It used to be a church. He bought this building. And the next door building where the restaurant is now was the rectory. That's what Vaishnavas do with money. And we see the difference. Prabhupada said, before I came along, this building was sitting here empty. Nobody was coming. What's the difference now? Because we're worshiping the beautiful Lord. Rukmini Dwarkadish Ki Jai. We're worshiping the Lords here, their lordships, and that's why it's now appealing. And not only that, we're spreading the words of Krishna, which is mentioned in today's purport as being transcendental. When the Lord speaks, it's not coming from the material platform. Everything that Krishna says is transcendental. So that's what this building was dedicated to. Prabhupada actually wanted them to leave the pews. They had pews in here because it was a church, benches for people to. He said, no, leave it. We'll give a lecture and people can come, because that's what they're used to. They can come and sit in the pews and listen to the lecture. But eventually they went away. But that was the purpose of this building, what we're doing right now. Worshipping the Lord in His beautiful transcendental form, hearing the words of the Lord, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, exposing ourselves to the beautiful smile here. It's mentioned, Smita, the beautiful smile of the Lord. Because the Lord is always in the mood of benedicting. Where else can we go for benediction? Where else can we go? Many people, they approach political figures for benediction. Oh, help me with this, help me with that. They can't help themselves. Because the pendulum of time is swinging, and everybody in course of time will have to give up. Generally, death in this material world means you give up your gross material body, and in the subtle body you're transferred to another gross material body. But it doesn't happen for everybody immediately. Depending on how you die, it's stated. If you die very violently, if you commit suicide, you remain in subtle form. We call them ghosts. And they're around. It's not a surprise. Don't be shocked. Like our, main night guard, Arcita Prabhu, who's a very sober, very intelligent young man. He noticed recently, he heard a sound in the temple, and he looked on his phone, because these cameras can be accessed from phone if you have the right password. And he saw there was some figure moving around in the temple. Obviously some subtle form, bowed down in front of Prabhupada, this subtle being. And they're here, they're everywhere. And it's not a shock again, because every one of us has that subtle body. Within the gross body is the subtle body made of mind, intelligence, and ego. And in the subtle body, we also travel sometimes outside of this. So as we say it all the time when we go to schools, universities, high schools, nobody's afraid of sleeping, because we have experience. Sleep means you put this body down and you wake up in the same body. Death is when you put this body down and you wake up in a different body. And we've all experienced that many, many times. So because death can be very painful, generally is very painful. Even when it looks like the person, oh, they passed away so peacefully. No, we don't see what's going on the subtle platform. We don't see the struggle that's going on, because the 99.9% of the living entities who die in this material world are sinful, and therefore they have to be brought in front of Yamaraj for judgment. And it's a struggle. Imagine you open your eyes and you see these fearsome figures coming at you, the Yamadutas. That's what most people experience. And that's what Prabhupada came to save us from. We've experienced it. We've experienced it. These fearsome creatures coming at you. It is stated, they know when you're going to die. You may not know, the doctors may not know, but they know. So they come and camp out in advance, waiting. And that's why in the medical field you have this, many times I've mentioned, this term, terminal restlessness. People who are about to die in hospices or hospitals, they go into this restless state where they have to give them heavy, heavy, heavy sedation to keep them calm. Because they're seeing these Yamadutas are waiting. So that's what Prabhupada came to save us from. Expose us to the transcendental words of the Lord. Expose us to the beauty of the Lord. Expose us to Lord Jagannath's permanently open eyes, so we can be attracted to that. Recently, we were doing the shada for Balaram Prabhu, the disciple of Tamal Krishna Goswami. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj said once, and it's factual, we don't have to argue with that. He said, at the time of death, Prabhupada says that your whole life goes by you like a movie reel. And what's going to happen? Your mind is going to latch on to the most prominent thing on that reel. He said, that's why we have Ratha Yatra. Because the public For most of them, the most prominent thing they're going to see at the time of death is Lord Jagannath's eyes. You see them once, and you don't forget. It's in there. That's why Lord Jagannath agrees to go out in the public, because most of them will not come here to see Lord Jagannath. But when he goes out on his Ratha Yatra cart, and he's moving along the road, and so many tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people see, or in India when it's done in Puri, millions of people see, you don't forget. That impression is there. So when that reel is zipping by and you remember your first puppy and your first puppy love and like so and so, we are hoping that the most prominent thing on that reel is going to be Lord Jagannath's eyes. So this is how the Vaishnavas benefit the whole world. By having these festivals, by opening temples, by distributing these books, we're giving people an opportunity to latch on to Krishna at the last moment. Ante Narayana Smriti. That's what life is meant for. Janmalava Pungsam Ante Narayana Smritihi. At the last moment to remember Lord Narayan. And here it's mentioned, Smita, the smile of the Lord, Lord Jagannath's smile. Dwarkadish, barely Krishna, when he's in this two-handed form, he doesn't necessarily show his teeth. He just gives a little smile. But that little smile, that sidelong glance, that's so appealing. The devotees will give anything just to see that little smile of Krishna. So this verse you've heard many times, but it's always worth remembering. Madaram Madaram Vapu Asya Vibho. The form of the Lord is considered, Madhur means sweet. So Madaram Madaram Vapur Asya Vibho. The form of the Lord is 2 times sweet. Madaram, Madaram, Vadanam, Madaram. But in that form, the face is 3 times sweet. Madhur Gandhi Mridu Smitad Etadaha Madaram, 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 Madaram. But in that face, the smile is 4 times sweet. So here it's mentioned, the Smita, the smile of the Lord. This is what we want to see. Not the ghastly forms out there. Even the so-called beautiful forms are just transitory. We know that. Any little illness, somebody's supposedly handsome or beautiful, but a little bout of COVID and they look haggard like anything. We've probably experienced ourselves. Just a little cold or flu and there goes the so-called beauty, handsomeness. It's gone. So it's transitory. It doesn't satisfy ultimately. And we see so many people, everybody in this material world is trying to find happiness in another person's beauty. We look in the mirror and we think I'm okay looking, but we are attracted to somebody else's beauty and we want to squeeze some happiness out of being with them or some or other, get some happiness. This is material world. Always trying to get something from somebody else. Somebody's beautiful, I want to associate with them so I can feel happy. I can show up, right? It's called a trophy wife. Or a woman, when she gets a husband, it's called a catch. But you can't. It's not right to try to squeeze happiness out of somebody else. Krishna is a source of happiness for everyone. And we don't have to squeeze. Just follow the process. Here it's stated, the Lord is always willing to give benediction to his devotees. He's always eager, causeless. He wants to give benediction to his devotees. So we just have to follow the process, and it's so sweet. Chant Hare Krishna, take prasadam, hear the philosophy, associate nicely with others, because we're all the same family. As we've stated many times, no matter which way you trace out your genealogy, you come to Brahma. If you follow your father, his father, it goes all the way back to the demigods, Prajapatis, back to Lord Brahma. And if you trace out spiritually, Prabhupada, Bhaktisiddhanta, all the way back to Lord Brahma. We're in the Brahma Madhva Sampradaya. So we're all family, whichever way you look at it, materially or spiritually. So why don't we get along with each other? Why don't we get along with each other? Because we're trying to squeeze happiness out of each other. Instead of all of us concentrating on Krishna, serving Krishna, trying to make Krishna happy, and then we all become happy. Instead of doing that, we're always, and nobody likes to be objectified. We don't like to be treated like objects, because we're not. We're spiritual beings, persons, spiritual sparks of the Lord. So when somebody treats you like an object, do this, do that, for me, And they get mad at you because you didn't do it right. And then you treat it like an object. Or they just want to look at you. Like we say, love means activity. If somebody says they love you, but they never do anything for you, they don't take you anywhere, they don't buy anything for you, they never cook for you, then afterwards it's like, hey, leave me alone. It's not enough to just say, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. So you got to do something. So if we love God, we have to do something. And many people say they love God, but they have no idea who God is. They don't know that He rides on the shoulder of Garuda. Now, in 1974, on a morning walk right here in LA, our dear departed God brother Narayan, he asked Srila Prabhupada, is Garuda Jiva Tattva or is he Vishnu Tattva? How many of you think that Garuda is Vishnu Tattva? Put your hand up. And how many think Jiva Tattva? Put your hand up. Some of you are undecided. So Prabhupada said, he is Jiva Tattva. Nityasiddha. He said, Garuda is Jiva Tattva. So this fortunate Jiva is eternally carrying Lord Vishnu Krishna on his back. That's the kind of service we can get. We can't become Garuda, but you have some eternal service for the Lord where the Lord is pleased with you. He's pleased with Garuda. Prabhupada said he's so pleased with Garuda that Garuda doesn't even have to be a vegetarian. He eats snakes. Can you imagine that? Don't try that. That's a special dispensation for Garuda. Garuda can eat fish, he eats snakes. So that's how pleased the Lord. Generally speaking, you kill even an ant, the Lord is not pleased with you. That's negative karma. And that's why ahang tvam ksava papebhyo, we have to surrender to Krishna, and He takes away that karmic reaction. It's not that when the pure devotees walk down the street and step on ants, there's no reaction, but Krishna takes the reaction because they're on Krishna mission. When you're on a mission for Krishna, anything that looks not right is forgiven because you're on Krishna's mission. Up to the point of killing your grandfather, like Arjuna. He induced him to kill his grandfather, Bhishma. And people can't understand that. What kind of God is that would induce his devotee to kill his grandfather? You can't understand. So Krishna's not so easy to understand. Not only does He induce Arjuna to kill, but He himself kills. I was just reading the 50th chapter of Krishna book. OMG, oh my Govinda. You read that chapter, it's hair-raising. That's when Jarasandha begins to attack Mathura. So that first time he came, Krishna and Balaram, with just a small army, they went out to meet him. And Jarasandha was, I don't even want to fight with this Krishna. Who knows? He's Varna Sankara. Varna Sankara means one whose Varna can't be determined. He was born in a Chacha family, but then he was raised by coward men, and nobody knows who, I don't even want to fight this. And he's a killer of his maternal uncle. So Prabhupada writes as commentary that when Kamsa was killing the children of Devaki and Vasudeva and so many other children, Jarasandha didn't object. He didn't call him a child killer. But when Krishna killed Kamsa, oh, you're a killer of your maternal uncle. What kind of guy are you? But anyway, if you read the description of how Krishna, first of all, with his bows and arrows, he was killing not only the opposing soldiers, but the horses, the elephants. And he killed so many so quickly that there was a river of blood. And in that river, the elephant bodies looked like islands. And the bodies of the horses looked like crocodiles. And the ornaments from the head of all these soldiers that were killed, they looked like pebbles on the beach. So much. So what kind of God is that? Killing hundreds of thousands of men immediately, simultaneously. There's so much blood. And then Balaram got involved. He took his club and he was just smashing. And so much so, it says that the river of blood overflowed. So we don't let those things sink in. We just read them and go on to the next chapter. But you got to think about it. Here's God, the Supreme Person, smashing. How is that possible? What kind of God is that? How does He get? And so the acharyas comment on that, because people may ask, what kind of God gets pleasure from killing? How would you answer that? Somebody reads Christian book and they ask you, your God, so-called God Krishna, is getting pleasure from killing. Yeah, because He's all good. And when the all good Supreme Personality of God kills anyone, they get liberated immediately from this material, miserable place in which they were going to die anyway. It's not that if Krishna didn't kill those soldiers, they would live forever. No, they were going to die anyway. But by dying, by being killed by Krishna, Balaram, they get liberated. And so we should understand that's where we get this killing propensity from, because it comes from God. But when God does His perfect. When we kill even an ant, it's not. It's a sin. It's sinful. So anyway, the point today is the Lord is merciful. He arrived on Garuda to speak to Kardama, gave him that beautiful smile, ready to give benediction. And we have that opportunity every day. We'll come and see the beautiful smile of Shri Dwarkadish, Dwarkanath, Gornitai, Jagannath, always smiling. And we just render a little service, and the Lord is ready to benedict us. Jai. Sorry for going over time. Granth Sahaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.